Is your husband always trying to see you naked?
Watching yourself or using pictures, images, videos can spice up your love life.
One of the things that felt really scary to me was maybe this is a slippery slope because it's related to pornography. What about when he wants to watch you when you're in the throes of passion? Sex is about connection and play. And within that is the invitation to play.
What about role play? Can that be a part of a Christian sex life? Did you know we were going to talk about anal sex in this episode? I bet you didn't. Dominance and submission and all sorts of fun stuff that you never learned about in Sunday school. A willingness to be vulnerable, our willingness to try things that are outside of our comfort zone. That is where we discover things that we never would have if we weren't being brave.
Let's talk more about that. Hey friend, welcome back to the Road to Happiness podcast, where faith meets neuroscience to help you mature into true happiness. We're your hosts, Josh and Cassie Spurlock, and together we founded My Counselor Online, a leading provider in neuroscience-informed Christian counseling, or also called NIC. I'm a sex educator, and Josh is a licensed professional counselor, and together on this podcast, we answer all your questions about life, relationships, sex, all the things, because we believe Jesus wants you to experience the fullness of life that you can only begin to dream of.
If you're new here, we've been in a 3-part series on Kinky. Yeah, from chapter 19 of our book, Feeling Sexy. So it's actually, we're 22 episodes or something deep in this subject. And we're so glad for you to be joining us. In this episode, we're going to be talking about all sorts of spicy stuff. We're going to talk about ways in which watching yourself or using pictures, images, videos can spice up your love life and your own confidence. We're going to be talking about role play. We're going to be talking about anal sex. We're going to be talking about dominance and submission and all sorts of fun stuff that you never learned about in Sunday school. So stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of fun. The Road to Happiness podcast is made possible by My Counselor Online. Hey, we all need some help every now and then. And the counselors at My Counselor Online are thrilled to come alongside you and help you navigate all the challenges in relationship or just life, the obstacles that life throws at you that get in the way. So check them out, My Counselor Online. They'd be honored to serve you.
So we can all agree that God says sex is good. And I love that our husbands are a little bit more maybe bold or brave in talking about wanting to see it, wanting to watch it, being interested. Does it make you feel uncomfortable that your husband's I want to watch you in the throes of pleasure, or I want to see your naked body? I actually think that's just a really beautiful, joyful thing that they are honoring what God said is good, what God is not embarrassed about or ashamed of, but really loves and wants us to have the chance to lean into for ourselves. So I think, could I just give you one little baby challenge? What would it be like for you to watch for yourself, to not be a spectator, to not be judging of what you see, but to appreciate the joy and the pleasure and the goodness of what God created in that for you? So maybe that feels yeah, I could do that. Or maybe that feels oh my gosh, I could not do that. But what if you just took the next step, one little increment more towards watching that? Because I think it can be really empowering and really grounding and do some really wonderful things for yourself in your own sexuality and for your relationship with your spouse and the connection that you guys have around your sexuality.
Well, we're just like diving in.
I
love it. We're in part 3 of the Kinky chapter.
The kinky,
19.
just nicknamed the Kinky chapter.
I know. We started with 1, and we're like, this is not going to work. We're going to need to break this into like 3 segments.
There was a lot of things in that chapter.
Yeah. So can you just provide some examples? Like, you're talking a little bit at a high level. Like, what if the ladies listening?
Yeah.
What does that mean? What might that look like for them to take that little step you're talking about?
I think it can mean, when I think of tiny little steps, I think of noticing your own interest or arousal. And sometimes female arousal is not like, oh my gosh, I just want to get busy right now. But it's like this warmth, this connected feeling. It can be definitely like, just want to jump in the sack, but it can also just be like, I'm feeling a drawing towards my husband and I want to get closer to him. And so that's an opportunity, it's this nurturing piece of us as women that God gives us as far as nurturing our sexual relationship with our spouse as well. So if you're thinking about that, maybe you're like, I could just take like a little picture of myself and send a text and be like, or even just send a text. It can be like, I would be interested in connecting with you later if you're open to that. I think I love the idea of it being a picture, like on the very first little tiny step. If you're coming from this angle, it's like, that feels crazy and obscene to me. Like, just a small picture. It doesn't have to be anything crazy scandalous, but like, maybe you show a little cleavage, or maybe you give a little wink, or just something that feels a little brave to you, because I guarantee your spouse is going to feel encouraged by your reaching out for connection in that way. And so, like, maybe if it's that, or on the other end, maybe you take a video of yourself pleasuring yourself and you send it to your spouse, or somewhere in the middle. Maybe, depends on where you're at with it, I guess, but maybe you bring a mirror into your bedroom and you watch what's going on. Somewhere in the gap of that, what feels brave to you and what would empower you in feeling confident in your sexuality, and also inviting of your spouse to connect in you in that way.
I think it's so important as we think about female sexuality in kind of the drivers for sexual arousal and sexual confidence, that, for women, being comfortable in their own skin and feeling sexy is key to desire. It's the number one driver for desire.
Feeling sexy.
Feeling sexy. That's right. So there's ways in which we can lean into cultivating our own sense of feeling sexy, right? And this is part of what you're talking about.
Like, it's actually so important. Like, you can't really get around leaning into your own feeling sexy if you want to invite your spouse into that.
Right. And this idea of kind of watching yourself, as we talk about in this chapter, is one pathway for doing that.
Yeah.
That I think maybe surprises women sometimes.
Yeah, because women are not usually pegged as visual. It's usually men that are pegged that way.
Yeah, and so we think that, it's, not a common thing, or maybe we feel self-confident or self-conscious about it, or wouldn't even think to explore it because of maybe some body image stuff that we've had. We've been like, I don't even like to look at myself in the mirror when I'm changing clothes or getting ready for the day, let alone in connecting sexually or being...
Yeah, in my most uninhibited, messy form.
Right, yeah. And yet it can be a really powerful tool for cultivating confidence and desire, to get comfortable with the mirror and to strike a pose, to be able to engage, a photo shoot or a video shoot of you engaging and being sexy and getting into that sexy headspace in your own mind, you are like cultivating the neural pathways associated with your own sexual confidence in the safety of your own space that you've created. In a safety of, where you can delete the ones that you don't like. And you can create a visual effect that you feel good about. Like, I look good. I like this. And to share that with your spouse, like it can be really powerful.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking something, but now I'm not thinking anything. I don't even remember.
I saw it on your face.
I know.
It was
maybe it'll come back. Maybe it won't.
Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I think sometimes gals can feel, maybe weird about that, or feel like, I
remember what it was going to be. Yes, it came back. I think historically, one of the things that felt really scary to me about this was the idea that maybe this is a slippery slope because it's related to pornography. And so it felt like Christians aren't doing this. Christians aren't watching themselves. Only people watching porn or into porn are doing that. And so that felt scary or intimidating. But I think it's just one of those things that the enemy has tried to commandeer and say, well, Christians can't do this and Christians shouldn't do this. I'm like, again, with his schemes sounding just enough like something real or truthful that it gets into our heads and screws up our ability to live fully in the joy and freedom that God created for us. So I just wanted to name that in case anybody else has, is thinking that or has traveled in that headspace.
Yeah, it can really steal from us. By saying, looking sexy, wanting to feel sexy, wanting to dress sexy, wanting to kind of be seductive in my body positioning or posturing or videos like that's scandalous in some way, that it can't be holy.
Right.
And in doing so, it shuts down our freedom to explore. It shuts down our creativity, and it shuts down our sense of sensuality. In a way that robs from us and robs from our spouse, and I think really saddens the heart of God.
Right, because he's like, I gave you this big, good, bold, free, joyful, playful gift. And we've internalized so many messages around it that aren't his messages for us.
Yep. I love it. I love that we talk about this.
Yeah, it's important.
I think a lot of times you hear a Christian podcast or something on sex, and it's like, God said sex is good. And that's true. That's good. But what about the getting into the nitty-gritty of what does that mean for our sex life? What does that mean for cultivating our own sense of sensuality and our own sexual confidence? So, yeah, we're all about that here. We want to get into the specifics. And speaking of getting into the specifics, we have like so much even in this part to cover. Like the last two parts, I think, went longer than usual. Because there was so much to cover.
So much to cover.
And there's so much to cover in this one. And we're excited to share it with you and just have real talk about these things. As a sex therapist, I have real talk with folks all the time about, these kinds of vulnerable topics, but you don't hear about it talked about in outside of that context very much. So we want to get in and talk about, what about role play?
What about role play?
Like, is that legitimate? Can that be a part of a Christian sex life? What do you think? You read the book, so you know.
Yeah. I think what I really love is like the reminder that sex is about connection and play. And like within that is the invitation to play. Like whatever you're steaming up, dreaming up in the role play that you want to have with your spouse, it's with your spouse. It's monogamous. It's lifting each other up. Gosh, like the opportunity to be brave in that space with your spouse and to learn more about each other and to try on different things that you, as you, might not be willing to, but you, a part of you, this playful, brave part of you, might want to try on this or that. It gives you the space to do that in a way that is just so beautiful and fun and holy. Like I think these parts of us that can come out in role play are like just part of our identity parts. And so I actually think it's not just like a slippery slope towards something dangerous, but I actually think it's a holy, worshipful exploring of the edges of who God created us to be. And that we get to do that and create intimacy, not just physical intimacy, but emotional, connective intimacy with our spouse as we dialogue about those things and engage those things. Like it's a really special thing.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot, that there's a lot of space for play and exploration in sexuality as God designed it. That there's, the fence that got put around sexuality to protect it creates safety for all sorts of play, all sorts of exploration. And we talk about those fences as being monogamy, that it's consensual, that is that we're both eagerly wanting to participate, and then it's mutual, that's mutually pleasurable, that we're both enjoying and looking forward to and having fun with the experience, right? And those create a sandbox for us to play in where there's a ton of variety that we can explore and discover, and that can continue to evolve over the course of our lifetime. That it's not this teeny tiny postage stamp sized thing that I think a lot of us were sold in youth group.
And we hear people in the world being like, I would never want to just commit to having sex with one person for the rest of my life. And it's like, no, like what you're committing to is actually developing this deep, rich, fun, joyful experience with one person that you could not have if you diversified the people that you were experiencing with. And so I think God is so kind and so, just sovereign and fun. He's like, I have something really, really, really rich and good for you. And so here are the parameters I'm putting on it for your benefit so that you can really experience the richness that I have in it for you.
I think it's one of the examples of how the narrative has gotten turned upside down. Like there was a really cool article that came out in Rolling Stones magazine. It's been probably 15 years ago now, but it was following a major study that had come out around sex in America. It was the Sex in America study. And they were looking at, what are people's sexual experiences that they're having? Men, women, looking at all different facets of it. And what they found is that Christian women were having more sex and enjoying sex more than anybody else. And it was so shocking.
Yeah, it's so great.
It was so unexpected that Rolling Stone magazine put out an article called Revenge of the Church Ladies.
Oh, that's great.
And that was their headline for talking about that it's actually monogamous Christian women that are having the most sex and enjoying the most sex of all people. And so we get this societal narrative that somehow monogamy and marriage limits or reduces sex. Or
means
takes
missionary, and that's all.
But it's just not true. It's not true in the clinical literature and the data, right? And it's not true in our experience, as a couple, as well as in those that we work with, right? So there's a lot of space for exploration. including
Bum, bum, bum.
segue. And that, did you know we were going to talk about anal sex in this episode? I bet you didn't.
Oh, gosh.
No, I don't know of anybody else who's talking about anal sex, but we are.
Yeah.
You're in the right spot. You can skip ahead, or you can, turn up the volume depending on your curiosity.
And listen, I just want to remind everybody that if you're listening in your car, people around you can hear what you're listening to. Not that I pulled up next to a gas tank yesterday to fill up and should have turned my audio down before I pulled up to the gas tank. That's just a freebie for you today.
Some public service announcement.
Yes.
Get some raised eyebrows at the Costco gas pump.
Yes.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, let's talk about the forbidden hole for a minute here.
Okay.
All right. That's the subsection in the book. We have those fences for creating safety for exploration. And, I shot a video on anal sex almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's
very wildly popular.
Wildly popular. Have gotten, thousands and thousands and thousands of views and hours of that video being watched, which just tells me that this is a question that people have.
Yeah.
Like, is this cultural phenom of kind of the taboo around anal sex, is that, how should we think about that as Christians? And I want to just, again, we go back to it, but monogamy, is it consensual? Is it mutually enjoyable?
Yeah.
Those are the parameters that God gives us for exploration in our sex life. So yeah, anal sex falls within those boundaries. Now, does that mean that you should have anal sex? I don't know. That's not a question that Cassie and I can answer for you. Like, there isn't a right answer about what you should or shouldn't do within those boundaries that God has designed for sex. But we're just here to say that it is within bounds if that's something that you want to experiment with. And that we, maybe spend some time within the book explaining how you might go about experimenting with that if you so desired to do so. But there's nothing that says you need to explore anything in particular when it comes to your sex life. Like, you're not failing or second class or prudish if something doesn't sound like something that you want to explore. This is a no judgment zone.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this in relationship to anal sex particularly, but I am saying it in relation to all things sexual related. I think, I just want to say be brave, because things that you maybe never thought would be interesting to you or never thought you would enjoy, if you will give yourself the option to and the opportunity to experiment with things, then you'll find new things in your sandbox that you like, because that's just how we're designed as people who love novelty and creativity. We're image bearers of God, and He loves novelty and creativity. And so we love that. And so I just have seen over and over that as we grow comfortable and confident in these things, and as we're brave, we earn with our braveness and our play and our exploration new joys and delights together.
I love that. That's just how kingdom works. It's how personal growth works. It's just really how life works. That our courage, our willingness to be vulnerable, our willingness to try things that are outside of our comfort zone, that is where we discover things that we never would have if we weren't being brave.
And I think maybe me for myself, in some areas of life, I'm a play it safer. I'm I understand what this is because I've experienced it before. And so I would rather not deviate from the trench that has been worn in front of me. But I have found in every area of my life that when I have pushed myself a little bit towards that edge, that I have earned some really beautiful fruit and wonderful things that I never would have experienced if I hadn't been willing to get a little bit uncomfortable for the sake of growing and experiencing the next thing.
I think along these lines, I think it's a helpful thing to think about stilettos.
Okay.
I know, random
Stilettos.
thought, right?
Mhm.
What in the world are we talking about stilettos in the context
Where are you going here?
of anal sex? And be honest, then are stilettos comfortable to wear?
No.
No, I didn't think so. I've never worn a pair personally, in that, but they don't look comfortable to wear. Then I've never heard a woman be like, I wear stilettos because they're the most
so
comfortable,
comfy.
or any high heels. Like, no.
I'm always like, I think I'm going to break my ankle. Oh, please don't let me break my ankle.
But every year, thousands of pairs of stilettos and high heels are sold.
Yeah.
And women dress up for their fanciest occasions and wear them.
Yes.
Why is that? What is that about?
Why are you looking at me?
Just because you're a representative. I've never worn them. I've never worn high heels. So you have.
I have, but I struggle.
But why? The question is, why would you do that? Why, when you have worn high heels, why did you wear them?
Because they're sexy.
Okay. So there's something that you enjoyed from wearing them.
Yeah.
You felt good doing it. Not because they were comfortable.
No, but because you feel sexy and empowered and yeah.
And so I think that's an important concept when it comes to some of our engagement sexually, right?
Yeah.
That there are things that we enjoy for various reasons.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Right? And that when we think about this idea of monogamy and consensual and mutually enjoyable, and we look at that mutually enjoyable component of it and go, well, is it enjoyable to wear high heels? Yes and no.
Yeah.
Right? Like there are certainly aspects of it that are not fun.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, can't wear heels for more than an hour.
Yeah.
Or, something like that. But there is something enjoyable about them.
Something valuable.
Yeah,
something
that
good.
you put them on again and pick them out to go with your outfit because it brings you some joy because of how it fits together with the whole outfit and the look that you're going for and all these things.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when we think about, I think I'm hoping to make sense a little bit about for the person who's never experimented or played with anal sex and going, how in the world could anybody?
Yeah, why could this be a thing?
Anybody?
Yeah.
That sounds like the most uncomfortable thing ever. Like it doesn't make any sense. And again, not advocating that you should experiment with it. But I think we did the same thing and like to do the same thing with like pain play or things of that nature and go, well, that seems so wow. Why would anybody get into that or enjoy that? And so if we're gonna be curious instead of judgmental and be like, what is it about the experience that might be enjoyable? There's a number of different things that can play into effect. Like the nerve bundles in the pelvic floor that surround the anus, getting very technical. And medical here, is the same nerve bundles that feed the vagina and the clitoris. And so they share a nerve bundle that goes up the spine. And so there can be crosstalk between those nerve bundles that connect with sexual pleasure, as well as a sense of fullness and a sense of pressure on all the nerve bundles in the pelvic floor that can contribute to arousal. And there can be this component that it's a lot like high heels. And that there's a taboo nature to it. There's something that is connected with it being sexy or naughty or something of that nature that feeds overall arousal in the same way that high heels do, while the high heels are, nobody claims they're comfortable You know, and when it's like, I wear the high heels because they're comfortable, but it does contribute to feeling sexy
Yeah.
in a way that's, you know, very positive.
Unique. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when we think about mutually enjoyable as one of the pillars for safety within it, and we think about something like anal sex, now we go, here are some of the things that can make it mutually enjoyable for some people. So there you go. If you ever wondered, you're like, does it fit? No pun intended. Maybe pun intended. I don't know.
Yes.
Is it fit within God's design? You know, why would somebody maybe experiment with it? Now you know.
What about, is it dangerous to your anatomy? Will it tear you up from the inside?
Yeah, so I, you know, have had the same questions as a sex therapist, and as a sex
Because it's
therapist,
important.
it's important. You ask all sorts of interesting questions to different folks, and the literature would say no, that there's not like evidence of a physiological harm. Are there all the other normal rules that apply in terms of not associating pain, listening to your body,
Yep.
all these kinds of things
Yep.
matter. And but no, the research doesn't suggest it. And I've surveyed the medical community, some gastrologists and those that kind of work with that anatomy on a regular basis.
Yeah, because you can imagine they get lots of questions and see lots of cases.
Questions. And when you have a friend that's when you just like, you ask,
tell us,
like,
we need to know.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Help us inform our people that are listening.
Yeah. And the answer is, as long as you are like paying attention to what it is your body's saying, and you're not doing things that are you know,
you're honoring your temple,
your body, right? Then no. And are there best practices? Are there things that you shouldn't do? Yes. And you can, you know, pick up the book if you want to get some of the, if you're curious to explore and some parameters around it, then yeah, pick up the book, chapter 19.
Great. What else?
Have we covered?
I don't know. I know.
Have we covered anal sex?
We covered it.
For now. If you need to know more, leave questions, comments.
Yeah, right.
We'll shoot more videos.
More videos on anal sex. If you don't know
it by now, we are not afraid to go there. Whatever the subject is, we'll take it on.
We'll tackle it.
We're here for you. We got you covered. We're your sex therapy friends that can give you the ins and outs. All right. What else? We got chapter 19.
Dominant and submissive dynamics.
Yeah. All right. This is another one of those kinky topics. Like, what is that about? And does it fall within God's design? Why might I be interested? Why might others be interested? So what do you say? I
say if it's mutually pleasurable and works for you guys in your relationship and you're interested to explore it and you keep it between the two of you, great. I think people are interested in it for a variety of reasons. I think back to the role play piece in some ways, like it lets you try on different characters, different feelings, different modes that you might not try on or engage in your normal day-to-day life. And just the stepping out of your normal day-to-day life can itself feel so freeing and playful, you know, like getting to explore edges of your personality that you wouldn't necessarily explore. So I think about that for the first piece of it.
Yeah, I think about also the desire kind of dynamics that they're having. There's something very sexy about, again, sexual confidence. And in the role playing or dominance and submission kind of dynamics, there is a space where individuals are articulating the dominant, typically in the cases, articulating what it is that they want or that they desire. There's something very exciting about that, or can be really exciting
Yeah.
about that, for the submissive to hear the desire of
Yeah.
their partner in play and to feed off of each other's arousal in that context in a way that really amplifies sexual arousal, creates novelty, and creates a lot of just, again, playground space to enjoy and play together.
I think one other aspect that I'm thinking of as you say that can be very alluring if you're playing in the submissive role is suddenly you have given up all responsibility to make decisions and to have to think through things, and you can just show up and be. And I think as women, we have so many things on our plate so much of the time that it can be so freeing just to show up in a space where you're not responsible to do anything for anybody else or think about anything else.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different reasons why it can be fun to experiment with, fun to play with, like all the things that we've talked
All
about,
the other
particularly
things.
in this chapter.
Yeah.
There's not anything wrong with you if it's not a space that you want to play in.
Yeah.
But there's not anything wrong with you if it's a space that you do want to explore and to play in.
And even trying on the different roles, like thinking about if you play the submissive role, then you don't have to have anything to think about. But what if you play the dominant role and then your spouse has to do everything you say? I mean, that also has some perks.
Right.
And I think I want to mention for this, like for folks that are not familiar with this space, like it's not a blind agreement to everything. It's, I am giving my power to you, but I am choosing that. And I'm only choosing to show up in ways that still feel respectful and honor myself. And so that's why for lots of these things, having a safe word and creating a safe word and communicating is so important.
Yeah, negotiating scenes where you're having conversation about what you want to explore or what you want to try or what you think would be fun. It's mutual, and
Right.
it's play in all of the other facets that we talk about in terms of consent and mutuality.
Yes.
And a monogamy apply.
Yes.
That it's not a giving up of control in a blank check kind of way.
Yeah.
It's playing a submissive role or a dominant role in a play type setting for the purpose of mutual enjoyment and exploring.
And I think I feel like a big sisterly concern because sometimes spouses can want you to do things that you're not comfortable with. And that is not what we're talking about here.
Right.
We're talking about something you are interested in and comfortable with in all these things, in all aspects of your sexual relationship, kinky or not. Like, it's for the purpose of play and connection and joy together, not because your spouse is trying to get you to do something that you're actually not ready for, or maybe you never will feel comfortable with. So I just need to name that and say, you do not need to, and you should not do things that don't feel good and honoring to you, that actually sabotages your sexual relationship with your spouse. And that's literally the opposite of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, nothing would make us sadder than for, this book or anything that we're saying here to somehow get construed in such a way to be manipulative or to shame or to judge or to make you feel pressured into, engaging sexually in some way that doesn't feel good, doesn't feel honoring to you. Like, that is not Jesus's heart for your sex life.
Yes.
And as a sex therapist, man, few things make me more upset than when I sit with a couple and a spouse, and I'll pick on the husbands because it's usually a husband and that is using the scriptures or using some resource to be a weapon against their spouse to make them feel bad about not engaging sexually in some way. as though there's a duty or a obligation in a way that just robs the joy
Yes.
from sex life and really grieves the heart of God. And so nothing in anything we ever say or any interpretation of the Bible and what God has to say should ever be used to somehow convey that kind of pressure, demand, and just disrespect part of it.
Yeah, playing in these spaces requires safety. It requires physical safety and it requires emotional safety. So let that be the foundation.
That includes in context like consensual non-consent. What does that mean? Consensual non-consent. So like when we talk about this idea of consensual, mutual, and that, so consensual non-consent is it's a role play term. It's a role play concept in that it's where, say you're playing the pirate and captive with your spouse, and you are in this cosplay, role play kind of maybe of costumes, maybe there's a play sword involved, or never mind. You can fill in the blank there.
There's definitely pirate booty involved.
Definitely pirate booty involved, right? Exactly, right. And so you have maybe a captive that's in chains or ropes or handcuffs or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're trying to escape or resisting or something like that. So there's this play, non-consent.
Yes.
To engage in sexually, but it is part of a pre-negotiated framework for a play, a scene that's being played together. And so it's consensual. All the activities that we're engaging are agreed upon and mutual and going into, even though as part of the play, there may be a non-consent aspect to it.
And I think as you're playing in these spaces, like you're both so vulnerably bringing things that are new and trying on different personas that it can be easy to go too far in a way that feels bad to the other person. But that's why you have a safe word and that's why you communicate. Like you're not defiling or screwing up your braving these new things together. You're actually honoring it and making it safer and dialing it in. So I think that's really important. Like understand that as you're bravely trying on any of these things, if you're going to do that, that like there should be the expectation that it can go too far, but we can communicate about that in the moment and then debrief afterwards also and make it safe. Like that is a predictable thing that will happen because it's part of the adventuring and the braving new things. That's how new things work. We don't know how they work until we've experienced them, and we can iterate them as we go.
I think, by now, tools, toys, costumes, role play, all these things that we've been covering, hopefully you see where they can have a safe place to be explored in the context of the safety of what God's designed for relationship and for your sex life. And so, I would just encourage you, what I would want to encourage you in, what we both would want to encourage you in, is have the vulnerable conversation with your spouse. Talk about what you would and what you wouldn't think might be fun to experiment and play with. That amazing, amazing sex lives are built together in a vulnerable and safe space. They don't just
they don't magically appear. It is built brick by brick, conversation by conversation, interaction by interaction.
Yeah. So maybe it sounds weird, but this whole book, actually, some of the feedback that we're getting from couples that are getting the most out of it, they're actually reading it like a devotional with each other, where they are going through and reading out loud what it is each chapter has to say and having discussion and dialogue around it in a way that's helping them understand each other more and, breathe new life and excitement into their sex life and giving them ideas and safety to explore the playground that God has created for them. So, yeah, we want to encourage you to do that. Invite your spouse in, invite your girlfriends in, right, to be a part of the conversation and the dialogue, because we need one another in order to push back the shame that the enemy wants to use
Yes.
to really make our life, and including our sex life, very small.
Yep.
So we're your friends. We're here. We're in that circle to encourage you in that direction. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's so fun to get to spend time together and with you, talking about these things that I think matter to the heart of God, and that we want to be able to, hopefully bring some curiosity into your world, and some freedom and confidence that helps build desire as you mature into your true self, including your true sexual self, and being able to enjoy the fullness of life that God has in mind for you. So thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you again for the next episode. We got, I think, 2 more that we're going to do in this series on feeling sexy. So we'll see you again here soon. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. It brings Cassie and I a lot of joy to be a part of your story and have these conversations with you just about life and faith and neuroscience. Like, it is such a joy to get to do this with you. It's more fun when we learn together. I got a small ask for you. Would you hit the subscribe button for this podcast? It really helps us, and it's a free way in which you can support what it is that we're doing and help others be able to connect with the same resources that you're enjoying. And if you find yourself in need of a little extra help, check out My Counselor Online. They're our sponsors. They make this podcast possible. The Christian counselors at My Counselor Online would be thrilled to come alongside you and serve you in your time of need. Hey, and Cassie and I want you to know that we're praying for you and that we're cheering you on as you mature into true happiness.